We're saying that the present situation, and also the history preceding it is similar in many ways to the biblical story of the conquest of the land of Israel. The Israelites came out of Egypt. They came out of Egypt led by Moses. Moses was from the tribe of Levi. And Levi ultimately was to be aligned mainly with Judah. And also, Levi represents the temple, the administration of the temple, also the judgment. Levi is recalled several times in Deuteronomy 17 concerning the judges that had to be appointed. Levi was to be a primary element amongst them, according to the indications and the traditions. And that was the domain of Judah, of the Jews, what became the Jews. So we had, through Moses, we had at the beginning, we had a representation of Judah through Levi and Moses. On the death of Moses, Joshua from the tribe of Ephraim, led the Israelites in crossing the Jordan River and conquering the land, or completing the conquest of the land. And he did. He took overall, they did. They conquered the land. They took control of it. But they left pagans resident within it. And they had to extirpate them. They had to drive them out afterwards. And that became the task of the tribes, all of the tribes together, but especially of Judah. It says, Judah shall go up at first. They asked, who shall lead us? They asked God, who shall lead us to go up? And the reply was Judah. Judah will go up at first. We find this in Judges 2. Judges 2 says, it's after the death of Joshua that the children of Israel asked of the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us first against the Canaanites to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I will give the land into his hand. Judah said to Simeon, his brother, come up with me into my lot, into my portion, and we will fight against the Canaanites. And I also go with you into your lot, into your portion. And Simeon went up with him. So here we find Simeon and Judah together, beginning the conquest of the land. And this pattern was repeated several times in biblical history, where Judah and Simeon were linked together. And it says that Judah went up, and the Lord gave the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hands, and they smote them, they struck them. In Bezek, 10,000 men. And then he says they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek and fought with him, and they smote the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued him, they caught him, they cut off his hands and his great toes. And Adoni-Bezek said that 70 kings having their thumbs and their great toes cut off gathered food under my table. As I have done, so has God punished me. So we see this midah for midah. There's also a theme that is repeated in the Bible. Midah for midah. As you do, so will be done unto you. You do good to people, the Almighty will so help you that good will be done unto you. And on the opposite, God forbid. So we should take this into consideration. Do good and good will be done unto you. Do not do good and things will be difficult. Do not be good and things will be difficult. And the children of Israel of Judah fought against Jerusalem and captured it and smote it with the edge of the sword and set the city on fire. And afterwards, and so we see the Judah conquering Jerusalem. At that time, Jerusalem was ruled by pagans, by Canaanites, by aliens. It was a pagan city, and Judah conquered it and destroyed it. And this was repeated at least once after that until finally, under King David, it was resettled with people from Judah. And divided, its territory was divided between the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. So Jerusalem, technically, Benjamin and Judah, they shared Jerusalem between them. The border between Benjamin, that was to the north, and Judah to the south, went through the temple itself, and it skittered around, it skirted around the temple, the altar in the temple. That is technically, if you divide when the land was to be divided, technically that is what would have happened. But in practice, Judah was never divided amongst any of the tribes because it was considered to be the property of all of the tribes together. And Jerusalem will also be the city where the future Messiah will rule first of all over all of Israel, over all of the 12 tribes of Israel, and then after that over all the earth, as we find in Ezekiel and other prophets. And afterward, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the mountains of the south and of the lowland. And then Judah went to the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. They conquered Hebron. And the name of Hebron formerly had been Kiriath Sefer, and they smote Shishai, Haman, and Talmi, giants who lived in that area. There were giants there. There were not that very many of them, 3 or 4 of them, but they were known for their enormous height and size. And the name of Hebron formerly had been Kiriath Arba. Now there's a Jewish settlement, a Jewish city, just beside Hebron, biblical Hebron, which is mainly populated by Arabs at the moment. Beside that, you have the city of Kiriath Arba, which is a Jewish settlement, a Jewish city, just alongside Hebron. And it is quite an important area in its own right. I used to live there for a good number of years, and I frequently went to the cave of the patriarchs, Mara de Makpera, where the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov are buried, and it is quite an inspiring sight area. And then the verse, the Bible continues to tell us in 2 Judges, and afterwards the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites, inhabitants of the mountains of the south and of the lowland. And Judah went to the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. The name of Hebron formerly had been Kiriath Arba. They smote Sheshim, Haman, Matami. From there they went to the inhabitants of Debir. The name of Debir formerly had been Kiriath Sefer. And Caleb was the leader of Judah. So here we have Caleb and Joshua had been together with the spies when were sent to spy out the land. In the time of Moses, when the Israelites were about to enter the land of Canaan, Moses sent spies, 12 emissaries, 1 from each of the tribes, to check out the land, to inquire after the land, to examine it, to return with a report. And 10 of the spies came back with a bad report, and only the spies, Caleb and Joshua, came back with a good report. Caleb represents Judah, and Joshua, Ephraim. So here too we see Caleb is dying there, as we will see later. He's still strong, still going strong, and he is cooperating with Joshua in conquering the land. And he had the task of conquering the area around Hebron, around the Kiriath Sefer in that region. And he said, whoever conquers this region will receive my daughter Aksa for a wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, that is the nephew of Caleb, captured the city, captured it, and so Caleb gave him Aksa, his daughter, for a wife. His one was when she came to him that she persuaded him to ask of her father the field, and he She leaned off the donkey, and Caleb said to her, "What is wanting to you? What do you want?" She said to him, "Give me a blessing, for you have given me dry land, and you should give me springs of water." And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the lower springs. So this actually happened as it is written. It is a prosaic event, but those who go into the Bible, the deep level, they often find symbolic significance, mystical importance to these verses. So we should be careful to read them carefully, because they often have secret messages that also pertain to us in it. And it continues in verse 16, Judges 2, verse 16, and the children of Canaan, the father-in-law of Moses, went up from the city of date palms. Date palms. Jericho is known for its date palms. Even today it is known for them, that whole area. And he settled in the region of Jericho, the city of date palms, for the children of Judah in the wilderness of Judah, which is south of Arad. And he went and dwelt with the people. So we have here Canaan, the father-in-law of Moses. Canaan, the father-in-law of Moses, elsewhere is known as Jethro. We find other places in the Bible that other names are given to him: Chovev, Yiter, Jethro, Ruel, different names that are also said to be pertaining to Jethro. So they have jokes about it. Some people say that Jethro, we find in the Bible that Jethro had daughters to marry when his daughters met Moses in the wilderness. Moses had come in from the wilderness, and his daughters had been trying to water the flock. And there were shepherds, Midianite shepherds, pagan shepherds there, who were attempting to interfere with the daughters of Yitro. And Moses drove them away, and by force, and watered the flocks for him. And then they came back and they told Jethro about it, and Jethro said, "And where's that person gone? You should have brought him back here." And the people who understand the hints in the verses, the verse is so formulated as if to indicate that he would want one of his daughters, such a person, to marry one of his daughters. And indeed, Moses did marry Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro. So there's people make a joke about this. Jethro had a lot of daughters, and he had several names. He had 7 names and 7 daughters, and he had to marry his daughters. So every time he had to marry one of his daughters, he changed his name in order to take out an extra mortgage to pay for the wedding. So anyway, that's a bit of levity, a bit of humor, one could say. And that too has its place. And it goes on, the children of Cheni, that is of Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, went up from the city of date palms, that is from Jericho, with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which is south of Arad. He went and dwelt with the people. And it says, and Judah went with Simeon and his brother, and they smote the Canaanites and inhabitants of Paran. And they destroyed it and called the name of the city Hormah. And Judah captured Gaza with its territory, and Ashkelon with its territory, and Ekron with its territory. And the Lord was with Judah, and they drove out the inhabitants of the mountains, but they could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, for they had iron chariots. And they gave Hebron to Caleb, as Moses had spoken, and he drove out from there the 3 sons of the giant. The children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, and the Jebusites dwelt with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem until this day. So we see here a pattern. The Israelites were told to wipe out all of the inhabitants, all of the pagans, and not to leave any of them in the land, but they were soft-hearted, like we are, and they didn't have the heart to do this kind of thing. So that when they defeated the aliens, these foreigners, they let them stay in the land. And later on, that was to cause them a lot of trouble. And even now, our own mercifulness, misplaced kindness that we do to these people by letting them stay in this region and not enabling them to move to climates, to places more conducive to their psychology. We are doing ourselves a misdemeanor. We are harming ourselves. So too in that time, it says that Benjamin did not drive out all of the Canaanites or the Jebusites, and let some of them remain in his territory. We will see later this caused some trouble. And it goes on, the house of Joseph, that is Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh, the two tribes of the house of Joseph. They also went up to Bethel, and the Lord was with them. Bethel is to the north of Jerusalem, present-day Jerusalem, and it is a very beautiful area, very interesting area. Also has a lot of help-giving properties in that region. I used to live there, as I lived in most of these places at one stage or other. And Bethel is known as a very heavy dew in the morning. You get up in the morning, go to the synagogue to pray, come back, and you're not out. The synagogue is not that far away, but it's outside. You come back and your shirt would be soaked with dew. I'm not kidding, soaked with dew, refreshing dew from the mountains. And that was Bethel. In the house of Joseph, they also went up to Bethel, and the Lord was with them. Bethel, there were two cities of Bethel, one neighboring the other. One was apparently in the territory of Benjamin, the other in the territory of Ephraim. That is of Joseph, as indicated in this verse. The house of Joseph caused to spy Bethel, and the name of the city formerly was Luz. So they were spying out a region known as Bethel to the north of the area, and the region they were looking out for was known as Luz to the pagans. And they saw a man leave the city, and the watchers saw a man leave the city, and they said to him, show us now the entrance to the city, and will deal kindly with you. And he showed them the entrance to the city, and they struck the city with the edge of the sword. They killed everyone in the city. The man and his entire family they let go. And the man went to the land of the Hittites, apparently in the region of Turkey, and built a city and called its name Luz. This is its name until this day. So here we have it. We have an important point that we will return to in a minute concerning the conquest of the land and why the Almighty left the pagans, or a portion of the pagans, to remain in the land,